The Witch Mommy, modern-day horror comedy scary story. I'd always heard it spoken of as a joke, something you tell kids to make them scared, to make them be quiet for an extra minute or two. Not anything real, not anything you might actually encounter. But how wrong I was. This all took place last year, right around the same time actually. Last Halloween. One I'll never be able to forget. And let me tell you this, it can be our little secret or something. Haha. Before last year, I was never a believer in anything that goes bump in the night, or any of the spooky stories, and certainly not of witches. I mean, come on, I'm 13 years old now. We don't go around honestly thinking witches and goblins and whatever else are lurking in the shadows. That's kid stuff. Or so I thought. Hey, wake up! Time to get up! You've got school! My mom's voice came racing up the stairs to my bedroom. Ugh, another day of school. I pressed the warm pillow over both of my ears and rolled over. A few rays of sunlight were shooting into my room from the nearby poorly installed window shades. How terrible! Can't they just give us the whole week off from school or something? We should be able to eat candy and pick out our costumes without any of these annoying interruptions. Oh, you don't agree? Well, how about this? When is the last time you needed to do some math in your life? Or pick out the preposition or supposition in a sentence? Yeah, I see you there, looking nervous because you have no clue what I'm talking about. But don't sweat it. That's my point. We never use that stuff at all, ever. However, we do eat candy, lots of it, and get dressed up and change our clothes. That kind of stuff is important. So, again I ask, why can't school be out for the whole week? Besides, who doesn't like staying in bed when you're all warm and cozy? Now, you get what I'm saying. It's basically child abuse for my mom to come and try to tear me out of this perfect nest of mine. Sadly, though, that's when I felt the tap-tap-tap beating against the other side of my pillow. Yes, I knew what it was. I'd experienced this no fewer than 263 times before. Just this week, in fact. My mother's hand whapping on the pillow, stirring me from an attempted deep slumber. And for what? So I could go get ready for school? It's bogus, bro. Bogus! I mean, school isn't even going to be doing much today. Then again, it never is. Just some lame studying, maybe a surprise test by one of my meaner teachers, and then sitting around wishing the day would be over soon. Welcome to the American education system, everyone. Anyway, whatever. And trust me, I've been to tons of schools. My mom and me have moved all over. So, back in bed, I flip onto my other side by my own will. Actually, that's a bit of a lie. What happened is this. My mom yanks the pillow, with both hands now, and sends me rolling out of bed and onto the floor. Good, she smiles, clapping her hands together. Mommy knew you could do it. Now let's get ready. Now, my mom is one of the younger moms when we go places. She's got to be like, 38 or 39, I think? Somewhere close to the dreaded 40. She's always talking about that, too. As if it's the end of her life or something. Get a grip, woman. The funny thing about my mom is, her hair started going gray like right when I was born. So, in all the time I've known her, yes, it's been with a light gray whitish head of hair. Still, her face looks young enough, and the woman works out like 5 or 10 days a week, something like that. Meaning she has a certain standard of fitness she likes to keep, a standard that she likes to force me into doing. She always says she's going to be 40, but never seems to actually get closer to it, if you know what I mean. Down, she yells as I assume the push-up position on the floor and lower my chest until it touches the cool hardwood of my bedroom. Up, she continues, sounding more like a drill sergeant than a loving mother. Up, down, hold it, hold it. My mother laughs, seeing and hearing the strain of my voice. I said, hold it, Sonny. What? I grunt through gritted teeth. Any longer and I'll be late for school, won't I? Who hold it, she says. And yeah, even though I can't see her, I can tell by the way the woman's voice shifts as she's pronouncing the word, that a big smile is now on that strict face. It's cruel and evil. Who needs to hold a push-up this long? I cry out, collapsing to the floor with a huff. Oh, Sonny boy, she crouches down, rubbing the back of my head. One day, you'll get there. I know you're doing your best. The last comment my mother finishes off with a wink. And I don't think it's one of those nice old person winks either. No. It seems more like the type a bad guy does in a movie when he's played a good evil joke on the main character. Judging by the shaking of my arms, I'd have to agree with that. Now, I'm not saying my kind mother is an evil bad guy or a terrible villain. I'm just saying she enjoys torturing me with physical exercise. We all have our hobbies, though, so I'm not quick to judge her on it. I guess if the worst thing you do to your kid is demand a few push-ups, you're not that bad. Still, I hate them. Next up is, squats and jumping jacks. The woman instructs me on how to do these and ensures my legs are close to jelly before deciding to end the workout. "Excellent work, son," she announces. "Now go shower. You don't want to be late for school." Or, "You know what happens, don't you?" Despite my heavy breathing and buckets of sweat, I still manage to upright my body and give her a skeptical raise of the eyebrow. "Mom," I tell her, "I'm not 6 years old anymore, okay?" "That's right," she continues as if I'd said nothing at all. "Do your exercises, be a good boy," or here she pauses, stepping closer to me. Meanwhile, I prepare myself for the same attack of hers I've faced countless times. "The witch mommy will come to get you." And she launches an assault at my ribs with her long nails, tickling me under the arms until I manage to swat her away. "Very funny, Mom," I nod, reaching for a water bottle on the nearby dresser. "Now, how about some privacy so I can get going?" I watch as she turns to leave, but instead of exiting entirely, she pauses in the doorway. Here's when I see that head of hers turned back a little, just enough so I can see the corner of one eye. "Oh," she nods. "So, you don't believe in the witch mommy anymore, do you?" "Mom," I shake my head. "Who would? Are you insane? Just because it's October and Halloween is coming up soon doesn't mean I all of a sudden start believing in witches and goblins and werewolves. And whatever else again. What's next? Am I waiting for Mommy Claus during Christmas?" I end this comment with a dry laugh, having proven my point to the woman. "Take that, grown-up. She's always trying to scare me with that crap. Witch mommy, and whatever else she babbles on about. I'll admit, it was fun when I was at a younger age, but now, I guess I'm just a bit too old to be playing along with her story anymore. And yes, it does make her quite annoyed. But so what? How long am I meant to keep pretending that this random evil witch woman will come swooping in to do God only knows what? It's absurd. And yeah, I say absurd, which is kind of a big word, because why? Exactly. I'm becoming a big boy, as she would say, so she can keep that witch broom and dorky hat in the closet. "Well," she grins, "remember, just because you don't believe in something doesn't mean it isn't real. Now go get ready." "I'm trying to," I yell, throwing the door shut behind her. Brrrring! The school alarm bell rang out, signaling us to get our butts to class. This set into action the usual chain of events. Lots of kids bumping into each other, shuffling feet, and the annoyed faces heading off to whatever room they were meant to be in. Of course, you always had a number of the cool kids lingering in the hall. This school had a particular pack of troublemakers, a group of 3 kids. One was the gang leader type, a tall, lean-type kid with fancy clothes. He wasn't the typical low-end sort of bully. Apparently one of his parents was kind of rich, so even though they divorced, he still got a lot of nice stuff. I called him Fancy Pants, not to his face normally, though. No, I wasn't quite that brave. Or was it stupid? His henchmen, as I called the other 2, were some chubby kids with bad haircuts. Now their clothes weren't too nice, neither was their hygiene either, because when I walked past them today I caught a whiff of that awful stench. Something like rotting sardines in a hot dumpster left outside in the sun, and the gym teacher's underarms after a long workout. Yuck! They had big guts, and even bigger heads. If you didn't know what year it was, just seeing a picture of them, you'd swear you were looking at a pair of cavemen, and not exactly any smart ones either. I bet they'd still be trying to use the wrong end of a pointed stick. Ha ha. But anyway, I do my best to avoid them. The trio stand there like a weird kid-eating plant, one of those mythical plants that eats people when you get too close. So, everyone did their best to stay on the opposite side of the trogs. That's what I nicknamed them. It's short for troglodytes. I read that means person who lived in a cave, which is where I imagine they sleep. Somehow, my nickname had gotten leaked. So Fancy Pants and the 2 trolls caught wind of the trogs. Unfortunately, they didn't know what the word meant. So they started using it for themselves, like it was named after a rock band or something. Ha ha. Still, that didn't stop them from totally hating my entire being. So, look out. Time to avoid the conflict with... "Going somewhere, Noodle Arms?" I heard the voice shout from across the hall. Without even looking, I did my best to jump into a line of kids walking by. A quick little shot of cover to blend in and hopefully sneak right on by. Like I said, it's best not to get into... oh. Two meaty hands take hold of my backpack straps from behind. A moment later, another thick set of fingers grabs onto my shoulder. I had no time to react at all before they'd spun me sideways and pushed me into the nearby lockers. Apparently, the kid-eating plants actually can move. I said. Fancy Pants spoke in a slow, calm tone. "Where are you going, Noodle Arms?" "Noodle Arms?" I took a little offense to the name, considering I was doing so many push-ups and things. Maybe my muscles just hadn't caught up yet. Turning to face him, I spot the two henchmen at his side, their mouths slightly open, with a bit of drool or something collecting at the corner of their lips. "Oh, I thought I'd just head down to the market and buy a few packs of gum. These two smell like they need it. You can thank me later," I reply, giving a friendly smile. "Why don't we just beat him up right here?" One of the henchmen squints. I can tell by the tilting of his head that he's genuinely looking for a valid reason not to do precisely what he said. "Think you're funny, Mommy's boy?" Fancy Pants chuckles, looking me up and down. She has enough love for the two of us, I think. I give a little laugh. When the grip of the other henchman tightens on my shoulders, I decide to give a bit more pleasantries. "Oh, she can probably love you two as well," I offer. I wonder if she'll love me as much as you're going to love this fist in your nose." The squinter raises a hand, clenching it tightly until the knuckles turn white. "Hey!" Another voice cuts in. "What are you kids doing? Get to class! Hands off! You can kiss at recess." It's Mr. Frayton, the gym teacher. He's a big muscular guy, and none of the kids want to mess with him. So, the henchmen release their grip on me. "See you guys later. Sorry about the gum," I say, waving a hand in front of my nose to demonstrate their bad breath. "This isn't over." Fancy Pants smirks on one side of his mouth. "No, I'm sure you'll be repeating this grade a few more times," I laugh, giving them a wave goodbye as I start running in the direction of my class. Yikes. That was close. Brrrr. The tardy bell sounds off right as I blast through the doorway of the classroom. "Late again, eh?" My grumpy, unamused teacher, Dr. Philplot, comments. "The trogs!" I protest, sliding into my seat. Speaking of Dr. Philplot, I'm not even sure he is a real doctor, or anything like it. He just makes us call him Doctor. He probably failed out of medical school or something, but still thinks he deserves the respect. Whatever. "Hey, bro," my best friend says from the seat behind me. That's Jackson Hunter. We go way back together. Not really in real life, though. We met playing video games online some time ago. I've just been his internet friend for a really long while. Now I happen to move to this town. And well, now we're best friends IRL, too. What's the deal? More trouble? I just sigh, shaking my head. Nothing new, I throw back over my shoulder. Jackson is a weightlifter kid. His dad was a pro strongman, so he's been having Jackson train since he could first do a full-depth squat. But, unlike the Trog henchman, Jackson has a sort of intelligent face. But you know, I lean back again, remembering something. It being close to Halloween and all. "Oh, God," Jackson groans. "She didn't, did she?" "She did," I nod with an eye roll. "Hey, what are you guys talking about?" Vampy Stakeheart whispers like a spear stabbing into the conversation. That harsh tone she's always using. Ouch! Vampy is my other best friend. She's kind of a messy girl, but the smart type. And she looks it. You wouldn't think anything else if you'd ever seen her. "My mom," I whisper back, listening to the teacher, Dr. Philplot, drone on. His words are so boring, it looks like he's even putting himself to sleep. "She's got this weird thing she always does." "Weird? How so?" Vampy inquires, pushing the glasses on her angular face upward along the bridge of her nose. "Yep, smart." "You don't even want to know," Jackson laughs. "Tell me," she hisses. "Well, since you asked so nicely," I smile, taking in a big breath. "My mom has always been obsessed with this thing called..." Here Jackson chuckles, unable to hold in the outburst. No, sorry," he waves a hand at me. "Keep going." "Yeah, anyway, I reply, turning back to Vampy. She's obsessed with this thing called the Witch Mommy. The Witch Mommy? Vampy giggles, covering her mouth. Dr. Philplot's monologue comes to a halt, but when we straighten our faces, he goes back to droning on. Right, yeah, Jackson nods. The Witch Mommy was something. I don't even know if it's real or just something his mom made up for Halloween. Even when he was really young, like 5 or 6, his mom would scare him all the time about the Witch Mommy. Thanks for reminding me. I wince, more from embarrassment than any particular bad memory. Well, in that case, Jackson smiles. Let me keep going. Anyway, so his mom would use that to get our bro here to do anything she wanted, basically. Oh, not being a nice boy? Well, the Witch Mommy will come for you then? That kind of stuff. Didn't brush your teeth? Uh-oh. The Witch Mommy will come for you. Vampy put a finger to her lips in thought. And what's so bad about the Witch Mommy? What would she do if she came? Oh, man, Jackson cocked his head. That's the wild part. You should have heard some of the crazy things his mom said. That's why he's so traumatized by it. Ha ha ha. That's probably enough then, I shake my head. Definitely not, Vampy wags a finger. Tell me more, what would she say? Jackson, enjoying the new audience member, sucks in a breath of satisfaction before carrying on with the details. I just sink down into my seat, wondering why is this my life? Can't I have had a normal childhood? One thing she said, Jackson goes on, is that the Witch Mommy will dun, drink your blood. Like a vampire? Vampy reels backward. Kind of, Jackson shrugs. But not for food, just for fun. Right, bro? Here he pats me on the shoulder. Something like that, I confirm, inwardly recalling all the details I was told years ago. The Witch Mommy would suck your blood for some reason. Or she'd sneak into your room at night and do all sorts of weird, mean, and scary things. That sort of junk. Just something to scare me with. That's why he still sleeps with a nightlight, Jackson grins. Bro, shut up. I toss my eraser at him. Do you actually? Vampy stares at me, almost like a scientist observing some newly discovered freak. No, I answer. It's more like an ambient light. Yeah, a mood light. So it is true, she yells, quickly covering her mouth. You're scared of the Witch Mommy. Now it's Jackson's turn to laugh. Great going, I mutter to him, just in time to spot Dr. Philplot's foot stepping right beside my own desk. Have something interesting to share with the class? He eyes me in a way that doesn't leave any room for a no from me. Oh, not really. I smile with a shrug. He does. The annoying kid on my right announces. I heard them. They were saying he's afraid of witches. Or mommies, one of the two, or maybe both. This he says with an accusing finger point. Suddenly a chain reaction of laughter sets off across the classroom. Everyone turns to look at me. Apparently a freak after all. Is that true, lad? Dr. Philplot lifts his head upward, trying to hold back a wide smirk. You're afraid of witches? Only a little, Jackson defends me. Well, kind of a bad time of year for you then, isn't it? Dr. Philplot cackles. Witches and Halloween, get it? Halloween witches. Witch mommies. More laughter rippled out across the classroom. Why is this my life? Oh, shut up, I yelled. You're not even a real doctor. You're a phony. Just here to fill the plot. Some side character that will be forgotten in a second. Suddenly the laughter came to a halt. Oh, as did Dr. Philplot's smile. He did not appear impressed. How was school, honey? Mom called from in the kitchen. Passable, I guess, came my reply, kicking off my shoes and tossing my backpack on the floor with a dull thud. Passable? She called back. However, it seemed a bit different to me. A little calm, a little smooth, a little odd. I began walking down the hallway, trying to listen for what she might be doing. Making dinner or something? Yeah, just another boring day. Same as always. Nothing happened, like I said, I commented. When she didn't respond right away, I naturally hesitated, nothing that I really thought about. My body just paused for a moment, sensing something was off. Had she heard? Did the school call? Was I in trouble? Boring, my mother replied at last. Nothing at all. Ugh! My stomach twisted. Who are these fools down at the school? Why would they call over so soon? I can't even get home first before they've already tried to mess up my life even more. I paused, swallowing hard. Did someone tell you something happened? "Oh, Sonny," she answered. "Don't you know? Mommies always know." This was weird. Not just the words, but the whole tone of her voice. The hair on my arms and neck stood up. Something about her manner of speaking wasn't right. It didn't sound like the usual teasing voice. Not quite, that's for sure. And I couldn't help but feeling a shiver run up my spine. A pissed off mom is never a good thing. I'm sure you all know that by now. But, I thought, maybe it's just because I got into trouble at school. That's probably it. I'm just nervous or something. "You're being kind of weird," I announced, trying to disguise the quiver in my voice, walking into the kitchen. "What did they tell you? That dumb plot filler? Was that it? What the—" There she was in the kitchen, over by the counter with her back to me, and I could hear the loud banging of chop, chop, chop as she sliced something up over there. The knife coming into view only momentarily once in a while as her hand moved with fast, furious movements. This wasn't right. She looked to be my mom, but something felt off. I could just tell, right down in my gut. Maybe it was her posture, the rigid, stiff, and abnormal tenseness of it all. The woman had her head cocked to one side, listening to me as I approached. God, this didn't feel good at all. I stopped moving, trying to take in a deep gulp, but I couldn't. The air felt heavy in here, like the whole house was holding its breath. "Mom!" I called out, hoping to get a decent response from her. Still, nothing came from my mother, just that continuous chop, 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 like a deafening noise. I couldn't stand it. The frantic but robotic motions of her arm, a rather unsettling sort of rhythm. "Mom," I repeated, clearing my throat once more. "So, what did you hear? And what are you cooking there? Anything good? Smells good, I think. Not going to set off the smoke alarm, are you? Ha ha." Silence overtook the house as the knife stuck into the chopping board. Then the stiffness of her body seemed to increase, but still, she wouldn't turn to face me. I guess some people take critiques of their cooking very seriously. "Don't worry, sweetie," she said. "But I know everything that happened. You've been a bit bad, and that you lied." "Lied?" I asked, feigning surprise or hoping to. "What did I lie about? What are you talking about? How do you even know?" "Still lying?" she barked, grasping onto the knife in a flash of motion. "This isn't funny," I yelled, jumping with affright. "Why would it be?" she answered in a way that told me a smile stretched across her face. "You know what I've always told you, Sonny, about what will happen if you're bad." "Stop it, Mom!" I shouted, stomping my foot, hoping to show some sign of aggression to end this little game of hers. "I told you this would happen," she nodded, her head slowly moving up and down. I then watched as she plucked the knife from the cutting board. "I told you. She would come. I told you. The witch mommy would find you. The witch mommy always knows when you've been bad." "Here." My mother turned around to face me. So slowly. So very, very slowly. I couldn't help but take a step back upon seeing her facial expression. I mean, it looked like my mom still, but the eyes were weird and intense, the lips pulled back into a tight, curved grin. Not a comforting one at all, either. Not even close. I'd never seen a smile so stiff as this one before. "Stop it, Mom," I said, forcing a shaky laugh to come out along with it. "You're not scary. I told you, I'm too old for that." "Are you now?" Her smile widened somehow. That's when she took a step forward, her fingers tightening around the handle of the knife. "Maybe you've simply forgotten what happens when the witch mommy comes." I didn't like her tone at all, and the witch mommy hadn't even come before, had she? I mean, not that I could recall. Wait, what am I even saying? "Bro, you're not even scary," I repeated, now visibly trembling. "Then," she whispered, "why are you shaking so much?" "Cold or something in here, I think," came my shrugging reply. No, she laughed in a low tone. "You've never felt true cold until a stainless steel blade, like this one, cuts into your body." My mother turned the knife upward, slightly, letting it glisten off the nearby lights, a look of appreciation and violence on her face. "Not good." Suddenly, she took a step forward. I felt my legs prepare to move, but when the moment came to retreat, nothing happened. They remained frozen in place. What the heck was going on? It felt cold in here, icy, like a dark cloud had ensnared my body. Now, the woman who I thought was my mother stepped closer and closer until her face was almost able to kiss my shoulder, where she leaned slightly off to one side, that evil smile right there, right in my face. And as I glanced down, yep, the knife still clutched in her hand. "When the witch mommy comes," my mother whispered, "you'll know nothing but fear." Then, in an instant, it was as if the clouds parted above, and a ray of warmth and goodness flooded into the kitchen. I watched as her expression changed from whatever the heck that was, to her usual, happy and giddy self. "Ha ha ha!" she cackled, patting me on the shoulder with her open hand. The knife was tossed into the sink and forgotten. "Oh my God! You should see your face, kid! Not scared, huh? I pranked you so good!" The rush of relief swept across my body so quickly that my knees buckled for a moment until I caught myself on the nearby counter. What the heck, Mom?" I managed to sigh, finally able to smile nervously myself. "Oh, come on, baby. You know I love Halloween. Your dear old May still has a few sneaky scares up her sleeves, doesn't she?" Mom laughed. "Well," I shook my head. "That wasn't funny. It was psychotic. Are you some kind of total nut?" "Oh, calm down, sweetie. You're a big boy, aren't you? A little scare never did anyone much harm, did it?" "A little one never did." I cocked an eyebrow at her. "Right," she grinned. "I can't help it if you're a big baby." And even though the knife was gone, and she held a smile on her face, I still sensed something was off about her. Yeah, she seemed normal enough looking at her, but I couldn't remove this feeling of dread from my stomach. The way she had spoken, the way her face had shifted. I'd never seen anything like it before. Was it all really just a joke? A sick joke? "Go wash your hands, silly. Dinner's almost done." She pushed me away. I saw her walk back over to the counter, where she began moving a few things around again. She had her back to me, humming a soft, satisfied tune. However, as I moved to leave, my mother's head twisted to the side, talking to me over her shoulder. "Remember," she said, in a soft manner, not turning around, "the witch mommy is always watching." This comment put a lump in my throat, and after I tried to shove it down, I replied to her, "Yeah, sure she is, Mom." Next thing I did was run from the kitchen, still wondering if it all had been just a prank. "Yes," I yelled into the phone. "She came at me with an actual, real, pointy knife." Jackson, on the other end of the line, let out an audible gasp. He knew this wasn't right. He wasn't a dumb guy. "Can you believe it?" I prodded him after the silence carried on a bit too long for my liking. The incident had only occurred a few hours earlier. Now I found myself in bed, with the lights off. Okay, well, most of the lights off, late at night and all that. I just try to relax and go to sleep. So, calling Jackson to vent a little about the earlier shenanigans seemed like a good idea. "Dude," he commented slowly. I knew he'd agree. "She totally pranked you, bro." "Ha ha ha!" came Jackson's loud, boisterous laugh. Okay, apparently my good pal didn't possess the traits of a skilled comforter. "Whatever," I roll my eyes. "You know it was weird. I know it was weird. Some help you were. I'm going to sleep now. Call you or see you tomorrow or whatever. If you make it until..." "Ooh!" He mimicked one of those scary voices into the phone. "Uh-huh," I yawned, hitting the hang-up button. What a jerk. I feel like I'd be a bit more understanding if his mom tried to slaughter him with the family butcher knife. But maybe not. I just think I would. For now, it's best I go to sleep and put all of this behind me. Witch mommy and whatever else nonsense my mother spewed out, aside. If the trogs weren't bad enough, or the crummy teachers, now my own mom was joining in on the buffoonery. With that peaceful thought, I made sure my nightlight, mood light, had the correct setting on it, a nice red comforting hue, and tipped backwards onto the pillow, closing my eyes in the process. "Hmm?" I called out, hardly awake at all. When my eyes opened up, I saw the night still looked black and dark, so dim, in fact, I could hardly see anything at all. Even after rubbing my eyes, hoping to gain some vision, everything appeared shadowy and shapeless. This seemed extra odd. Considering I go to sleep with the nightlight, mood light, as I said, Maybe the power had gone out, or something. Well, what do I care? It's not like I'm scared of the witch mommy or anything. Better to head back to sleep. Forget about the stupid pranks and everything else. Nothing a good, peaceful sleep can't remedy. With my head on the pillow, I thought of big, soft, white and fluffy clouds, the kind you see up in the sky and imagine falling into them, like a giant wad of cotton candy, the perfect amount of padding, hardly even any pressure when you tip backward. Well, actually, I've never fallen into cotton candy before. I mean, yeah, I've eaten it. But that's about all of my experience with the stuff. I'm not sure if it would make for a good landing or not. Perhaps it's too... Wait, what the heck was that? I swear I heard something. The next thing I know, I'm sitting perfectly upright in bed, holding absolutely still. Like, not even breathing. You know those times when you need to be so quiet, so still that you even try to stop your heartbeat? Well, that's what I was doing right now. Gulp. I mean, aside from that hard swallowing gulp. But, in my defense, it just happened. I wasn't trying to make any noise. Okay, shut up. Quiet, you duncepot. Something is seriously there. It sounds like a dull scraping. Yes, like a distant scraping on the floor. Oh, maybe somewhere down the hallway. I think so. But wait, it's getting closer, and closer, and closer. My God, it is... I hear it scraping or dragging down along the wall, like a nail or something sharp being pulled across the surface. Something like a... Dear God, no, a knife. Heavens to Betsy. Now, there's an old saying I haven't heard anyone say in years. I got it from my grandpa many moons ago. So, that's how frightened I am, I guess. It's got me plucking out ancient sayings. Sheesh. A knife. From the witch mommy! It's her! It's her! Wait, man. Calm down. Calm down! Hold still and listen. I gulp and swallow hard again, trying to hold my breath, but the beating of my heart sounds and feels like King Kong is playing a one-monkey marching band with a giant drum in my chest. So loud, so pounding, so much pressure I feel pulsing through my head. But the good news is the scraping noisy has seemingly stopped. Yes, I can't hear it anymore. That's good, right? Maybe it had been a tree branch scraping the window or the side of the house. Yeah, that's probably exactly what happened. Scrap! Scrappy! Scrape! I spoke too soon. It's back. But bro, it could just be a tree branch still, right? Yes, that's the most likely part. If only my stupid light wasn't out. All I've got is the moonlight coming from my window, with the curtain pulled slightly open. Only enough to illuminate parts of the room. One's leading right up to the door handle of my bedroom. I'm sticking with the tree branch story. Never mind me holding this blanket up to my chin. That's just for warmth. I swear. The witch mommy, I hear a voice say from out in the hall. Witch mommy's coming for you. I don't recall hearing a tree branch speak before. However, there has to be a first for everything. Now the dragging noise is right on the other side of my door, literally scraping along my very door. Then the scraping stops once again, but the sound that replaces it is not a very comforting one. Tap, tap, tap. Gulp. The witch mommy is here. The whispering voice repeats, even closer now. Why does it have to sound like that? So disgusting and sinister. This can't be good. Mom? I call out into the night. You're not scaring me. Sadly, my voice cracks during 3 of those words. Not too convincing, if you ask me. Without moving a muscle, without breathing, without anything. I sat upright in bed, keeping my eyes glued to the door handle of my room, the one thing clearly visible from the moonlight filtering in. Then, I think my heart stopped, because the doorknob began to turn. Yes, oh God. It's turning. It's opening. I want to scream. I want to run. I want to jump out the window. The dull ticking of the metal interior starts clicking away. Turn by turn, it's opening. Despite wanting all of those things, I do nothing. Nothing but stare and stare and stare at the knob, which continues to slowly twist, until the very door itself was gradually being pushed open. Yikes! Right when I thought things were as bad as they could get it. First, only a small crack came about. The door barely opened at all, and given the low light, I couldn't even be entirely sure of that. However, the more I stared, the more certain I became that it had, In fact, been opened. And to confirm these intrusive thoughts, I heard the following. "The witch mommy is here," the shrill hissing voice announced. "Here to suck your blood." "Mom, have you gone insane?" I yelled out, finally having had enough of all this stupidity. This joke had gone way too far at this point. I'm sure we all could agree on that. Scaring me in the daytime is one thing, but my God, interrupting my beauty sleep? Definitely insane. Instead of coming out with a laugh, the thing at the door did nothing other than continue the slow, steady opening of it. Good God! I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The door pushed wider and wider, creaking ever so softly as it did so. Suddenly, from the blackness behind the door, I saw a shadowed figure. "Enter into my room!" It stood about at my mom's height, maybe a little taller. But given the darkness, I could see no clear features or legs or arms or limbs. Only a shadowed mess of terror and torment, right there at the opening of my room. "I warned you, didn't I?" The voice, just faintly reminding me of my mother's own, cooed out. This noise breached the silence of my deathly quiet room. Oh, bad choice of words. Let's not think of death right now, shall we? With the way my door opened, it blocked the remaining moonlight from the room, so I could see nothing. Nothing other than the indistinct movement of the intruder. Creeping ever closer to me, slowly, steadily, unrelenting. Then the creature blinked, and I saw those horrid glowing eyes, staring right at me. Why were they glowing? As the figure came closer to my bed, I instinctively found myself pressing my back hard against the headboard, trying to move myself as far away from the villain as I possibly could. "You didn't listen," she spoke in a rattly tone. "You didn't believe. Now look who's come. The witch mommy." The evil thing shrieked those final words, stepping toward me with a quick leap. "Stop it, Mom!" I cried in a whimper. "Stop it now!" The figure didn't even pause for a second. I simply saw what looked to be an arm, or something close enough to that, reaching up from its side and coming dangerously near to me. Uh-oh. "It's too late," the voice said. "Once the witch mommy arrives, it's already too late for you." Again, in a hurried rush of movement, the arm swept across and over to my bedside table. The witch mommy flicked on my red nightlight, or mood light. "No!" I screeched, and in that moment, right as the light turned on, I saw the most horrific face imaginable. No, even worse than anything you could possibly conjure up in your mind. I saw the face of such unbelievable dread and agony, hatred and fear, everything bad in this world, all wrapped into one expression on this ungodly, terrifying thing. Still, the arms re-aimed at me, just as the witch mommy charged full speed on a direct course for my neck, something I'd rather keep attached. "No!" I shouted, throwing the covers over my face and hunkering down, as if that flimsy barrier might offer any sort of protection at all. Her bony, claw-like fingers snatched hold of my arm. In that moment, the blanket was ripped from my head, taking away the only concealment I had left. "No!" came my shout of fear and panic. My body braced for impact, hoping that whatever meager strength all those push-up attempts might have given me would pay off right when I needed it the most. Ah! However, when I opened my eyes once more, something strange had come about. The room was empty. What? Empty? But yes, it was entirely empty. And no, my door, it was shut just as it always had been. The red light beside my bed remained in its usual spot. Could it be? Could it really have been? I wiped a bit of sweat off my brow, feeling the dampness of my shirt along my neck. Oh, God. Was it all just a dream? Is that even comforting if it was? I had to be sure. I had to calm down. To get back to sleep, I needed to know. And so, summoning every ounce of courage I could, true, there weren't many ounces of it available, I slowly got out of bed and made my way over to the closed door. There I stood, totally still and silent. Nothing. No tree branches, no barking dogs, no weird voices. Nothing at all but the kind of silence I love for falling asleep in. Get a hold of yourself. I shook my head, letting out a nervous laugh. Bad dreams keeping you awake like some kind of baby? Maybe Mom's prank had left a bit more of a mark than I wished to admit. The stupid little horror show in the kitchen, probably so. Now a dumb nightmare, wow. Get a grip. With that in mind, I pulled the door open. Oh God, no. Just kidding. There was nothing there at all. No figure, no spooky voices, no motion. Nothing to be scared of whatsoever. Not even a little, guys. Right as I started closing the door, I saw them. The sight of which made my heart come to a complete standstill. There on the wall and across the door were long, jagged scratches etched into the wood. Not good. The next day couldn't have come fast enough. I didn't even bother telling Mom goodbye this morning. In fact, I waited in my room until I heard her flip on the shower in the other room. Then I grabbed my junk and low-key bolted for the front door. Maybe I yelled goodbye on my way out, maybe not. I can't be sure, and I didn't stick around to wait for a reply anyway. The witch mommy most likely won't attack me at school, or in public, right? That's got to be safer. I mean, when's the last time you've heard about a kid being assaulted by a witch at school? Exactly. Ha-ha. Well, to be fair, I've never heard of a kid being attacked by an actual witch either. Outside of spooky stories, that is. Nowhere in real life. Not that it's been verified. So, that actually doesn't help me at all either. Why? Because no one will believe me. Heck, I don't even believe myself. Guys, I need your help, I said, sounding as breathless as one could get. It happened. She's coming back. What? Jackson raised an eyebrow at me. I could tell from the way his arms looked swollen that he'd done his morning lifting routine already. What do you mean? Vampy eyeballed me with both suspicion and excitement. Oh, I get it, Jackson laughed. You're talking about the witch mommy. Your mom is pranking you again? God, she sounds like a lot of fun. I'm jealous. Me too. She sounds like a really festive kind of person. I like that, Vampy smiled, patting me on the shoulder. Well, sure, I shrugged. If you consider festive being threatening you with a butcher knife and haunting your dreams, then yeah, she's festive. Oh, God, Vampy rolled her eyes. Too bad it's wasted and ruined on a fun hater like you, she said, punching me in the arm, followed by a little smirk. Listen, guys, I paused, putting up a hand as we were walking through the hall. The bell signaling us to get to class had just rung, but I was in no mood for school. I couldn't face that dopey teacher again. Not today, after that thing last night. What is it? Jackson asked. Guys. My voice got real low. I feel like I'm being suffocated, like I'm being watched, like I'm right on the edge of something very dangerous, like I can't go to class today. I just can't do it. I've got to go somewhere else. Something is very wrong here. You mean skip class? Vampy all but shouted. Unless you can't shut up. I shushed her. Listen, I saw the scratches on the door. It was real. Scratches? Jackson inquired. Yeah. I opened both my eyes as wide as they could go. The ones she left on my door with a butcher knife? Oh, right. He smirked. Maybe you were sleepwalking? Jackson offered. I sleepwalked into the kitchen, got a knife, and cut my own door and wall up. Is that what you're saying? Well, Vampy titled her head, nodding. It is more plausible than believing a witch or mommy witch or whatever it was tried to attack you before vanishing. Okay, perfect, comes my annoyed reply. You can stay here. Jax, let's go. Me? He points a finger at himself. Sure. Let's go to the soccer field. Come on. You don't even like school either. I smile. He hesitates, looking over at Vampy. The girl's face appears shocked beyond belief, like cutting class was worse than committing murder or something. Sure. Whatever. It's just a boring lecture on useless math again. Today, anyway. That's my pal. I rub my knuckles softly into his hair. As long as you don't do that again, he leans away from. Vamp? I say, letting the silence hang there. Her head darts from left to right, obviously questioning and weighing her life's biggest problems. Then it happens. Only if you tell me more about the witch mommy. I can say it was for psychological purposes. Interviewing a psychotic. Yeah, that sounds good. She holds a finger in the air. Hey, little dweebs! That familiar voice cuts in from behind us. Fancy pants. Aren't you going to be late for class? Wouldn't want your witch mommy to find out. Witch mommy? How did he know? "What did you say to me?" I shouted, turning to rush him with a fury. In the next moment, I'd shoved him against the lockers. "Answer me!" I yelled, pushing my hand at his neck. Unfortunately, his two goons were at his side, and they knocked me away without much issue. "Are you crazy, kid?" Fancy Pants brushed off his shirt. "This isn't over." "So you keep saying," I rolled my eyes. "Come on, man." Jackson beckoned me with a wave. "If we stay any longer, we're going to get caught." So, with that, the three of us snuck out the side door and made our way over to the soccer field. "What a remarkable day," Vampy concluded, looking up at the sky. "Huh?" I halfway listened, glancing upward. But she was right. The sun had been left shining high and bright, one of those rare October days where the sky hangs onto that list, bit of summer, without a cloud in sight. The type of day that tries to trick you into thinking, maybe it won't be so cold this year. Evidently, Jackson held a similar view. "She's right, bro," he nodded. "I can't believe how warm and clear it is today. Can you believe winter is meant to be coming soon?" "Thank you guys for the weather report," I replied. "I'm just glad to be out of that place, but still, I feel like someone is watching me. Do you guys not feel it?" "Nope," Jackson shrugged. "Not me. Sorry," Vampy gave a weak smile. The soccer field was located around the backside of the school, down a little hill and around a corner. You couldn't quite see it from the school itself, so I knew there wouldn't be much chance of us being seen. Not part of the main campus, which meant no teachers, no supervision, and supposedly no prying eyes. Just the type of setting I wanted. It had a few bleachers and a little shed for us to hide behind, just in case. Not only that, but a row of trees and bushes surrounded it on most sides. So, even from the street, it would be difficult to see anyone standing on the field itself. Like a little secret garden of sorts. I think they put the trees there as a means to keep balls from flying into the street. Seems like a regular chain-link fence would have been easier, but whatever. Taxpayer money gets spent on all kinds of crazy things. At any rate, it made the whole thing very secluded. Now, you know why I wanted to be here. However, in a strange twist of fate, the more we walked, the more uneasy I began to feel. I couldn't shake the notion that we were being watched, being followed. By what? I didn't know. The stupid witch mommy. Wow. Am I really that immature? Some nightmare has me scared to look around corners, frightened to peek behind a tree. Skipping class? I must be insane. "Hey, buddy," Jackson laughed, obviously having a thought leap into his head. "Don't you think the witch mommy will be mad at you for cutting class? Aren't you scared?" "Terrified," I lied. Or was it? "Yes," I said, the word sarcastically. But the actual emotion didn't seem too far off from how I really felt. "Yeah, tell me more about this witch mommy." Vampy brought a finger to her lips. "It is my psychological science interview, after all." "Thank you, Jackson." I rolled my eyes, irritated that he'd turned the brainy kid onto reporter mode. "He might be a bit too scared," Jackson commented. "Let me start off then. So, the witch mommy broke into his room." "Why?" Vampy asked in a serious tone. "Duh!" Jackson chuckled. "Because when you're bad, the witch mommy comes for you. Didn't you know that?" "I do now," she nodded. "Keep going." "Well," I interrupted, "you left out the part about her scratching my door with an actual butcher knife." "Right," Jackson brought a hand to his forehead. "How could I have forgotten that part? So, the witch mommy tries breaking down his door with a butter knife last night. Not very smart, is she? Trying to barge into a room like that with a tiny knife. She should know a good-sized axe would be much better." He paused, giving me a nod. "And much more dramatic. You ever see that famous movie where the guy breaks in the door with an axe?" "No," I shoot him away. "But I lived it now, apparently." "He sure did," Jackson smiled, slapping me on the back. "Because the witch mommy knows exactly where you—" Crunch, crunch, snap. Oh, not again. All three of us held deathly still. The noise came from off to the side, over by the nearby bushes and trees. "It's her!" Jackson shouted, pushing me toward the sound. Due to the surprise of the movement and his big muscles, I went stumbling forward right into the tree. "Ah!" I screeched, stumbling backward to retreat. Right then, a small squirrel came bounding out from behind the tree, and as it did so, The same crunch, crunch, crunch noises could be heard as he stepped on a few of the brittle, dried-out leaves. I see, Vampy grinned. He's so brave, too. Yeah, I'm a real hero, jerks, came my retort as I put a hand down to stand back up. However, as I twisted a little to get my feet under me, I saw something else in the tree line. What was that? I fell backwards once more, landing right on my butt. Over there. I saw her. What? Jackson squinted. No, bro, you're not going to revenge scare me. I know you too well for that. No, idiots. Look, I yelled, pointing at the trees. There, I could see her. I swear. I saw the witch mommy. Her shadow, at least. Darting from tree to tree until she finally hid behind one, no longer moving. I swear it. It's her, I swear, I squeaked, getting back to a standing position. Who? Another squirrel? His fat brother? Jackson laughed. Maybe a bird this time, Vampy offered. Guys, I'm not even joking, I told them. Why wouldn't anyone believe me? You believe me, don't you? I saw her. Why don't you believe me? If this was you here with me, and you said you saw something, I swear I'd believe you. I know what it's like to be ignored. I wouldn't do that to you. Let's back up a little. Come on now. My body stepped rearward to the nearby shed. Being situated a little away from the tree line, I thought it would be safer for us. I saw her, guys, I repeated. I seriously saw her. You are losing it, bro. Jackson shook his head. What kind of noises does she make? Vampy inquired, still casting a suspicious at the trees for a moment. She sounds like... I began. Oh! A loud voice pierced the sky, coming right from behind me. It was her! The witch mommy! No, not like this. She can't be here. I turned to face my attacker, and that's when I saw... Ugh! Fancy Pants and his two goons. They were up on top of the shed, looking down and laughing at me. Look! Fancy Pants laughed. I'm the witch mommy! Where's my broom? Vroom! Vroom! Ha ha! Totally slayed! One of the henchmen nodded. The other looked a bit more worried when he said, and how do we get down from here, guys? Fancy Pants just rolled his eyes, walking to the corner of the shed before jumping off. The kid landed light, like a cat. When the two henchmen literally fell off the roof, they didn't hit the ground so gracefully. I guess stupid is made pretty tough these days, I chuckled, shaking my head as they groaned momentarily. Don't you three have a class to be failing now? Vampy stepped forward. Now, I hadn't noticed it before, but sometime during the last while as we fumbled around at the trees, the sky had darkened immensely. Clouds covered the vastness of it all in a gray blanket. A cool wind had formed, whipping all around us. We're taking a new elective today, Fancy Pants grinned. Nerd beating. Not only that, but one of the clouds seemed to be falling literally right on top of us. It descended lower and lower, turning into a thick fog that circled just on the edge of the tree line and out into the middle of the soccer field. We were left in one of the only clear spots, somehow. Another class you'll fail today, Jackson puffed out his chest. He did have an intimidating look to him anyway, though I'm not sure the henchmen were smart enough to realize it. My guys, Vampy whispered, this is weird. I don't mean you three, we already know you're weird. I'm talking about the fog. Wasn't it sunny just a minute ago? I sniffed the air. Oh. My nostrils detected something a bit more than nature. Maybe that's why they called me Dog Boy at my last school. Something darker, something sinister, something evil. What's the matter, smart kid? Afraid of a little fog? Fancy Pants laughed, high-fiving the nearest goon. Oh, God, not here. Not now. I muttered. I think you should be... She's here. I just know it. Oh, my God, Fancy Pants chuckled. Is Noodle Arm still going on about the spooky witch mommy? Listen, I know you've had a rough life, kid, but so what? It's time to stop making up and believing in all these dumb little ghost stories. Something moved in the fog, a swift flash of blackness dashing in one direction. Oh, God. We all watched as the fog crept lower and lower, growing thicker and thicker, until it formed a kind of smoke-like wall all around us, so dense and heavy we could hardly see 10 or 15 feet in front of our own eyes. I think we should leave, I said in a quiet voice. not wanting to disturb anything that might be lurking around us. I'm in full agreement there, Vampy chimed in. Don't be a baby, the nearest henchman yelled, giving me a hard shove from behind. Oof! I fell down onto the grass, landing just inside the fog, not the place I wanted to be. Where'd he go? They called out. And when I looked up to reorientate myself there, I saw her. The witch mommy. That shadowy figure of hers, standing just on the other side of a foggy wall. I couldn't see her features clearly, but I knew exactly who it was. Those glowing eyes, always glowing. What she wanted, on the other hand, I didn't have a clue. Suddenly, a single hand of hers burst through the fog, becoming visible for only a split second, before I ran back to my friends. She's here! She's here! I shouted. The witch mommy! He really has lost it? Fancy Pants rolled his eyes. I'm not so sure, Jackson spoke, staring at the space in the fog where I'd just come from. I saw her, came my plea. She's there. Where? The two henchmen grabbed onto each other. Oh, scary mommy, is that you? Ha-ha! Apparently they weren't convinced yet. Not my problem. Fancy Pants, to his credit, didn't appear quite as amused. No, a certain kind of unease had drifted over his face during the last few moments, as if he sensed exactly what I'd been referring to. And maybe, more than that, perhaps he saw the witch mommy out there, just as I had. Wow, who turned down the temperature? Vampy said, rubbing her shoulders. Is anyone else getting real cold? And she was right. The fog had brought with it a frigid chill, the grip of death. I just knew it. Death is always cold. He might have a point, Fancy Pants nodded. I think we can beat them up later, guys. Not so tough now, huh? Jackson mocked him. But, even as he did so, I saw the weakening of his own smirk. Vampy moved closer to me in the way a kid does when gripped by fear. I don't like this, she whispered. This isn't natural fog. I've studied it. There's something extremely wrong here. Something is coming, I shook my head. Something bad. You should have believed me. And you, I turned to Fancy Pants. You should never have come. I think it's too late now. Screw that, the bigger henchman announced. I'm not waiting around here for whatever that is. Bunch of creeps. I've got class. Then, without warning, he picked a seemingly random direction and bolted into the fog as fast as those big legs would carry him. To be honest, it was the fastest I'd ever see him move. Maybe the fastest I'd ever seen any human move, for that matter. Within half a second, he was gone, disappearing into the fog. Get back here, idiot! No! Fancy Pants yelled after him, but he received no reply. Where did he go? The other goon whimpered. Why is it so dark here now? There! I shouted, pointing at a black figure moving through the fog at an incredible speed. Ah! A voice rang out into the quiet afternoon. It came from within the fog, in the very direction the dunce-pot henchman had run to, and just as quick as it had come about, the voice cut off, leaving us once more in a fog of silence. What was that? Where is he? The remaining goon questioned no one in particular. We have to find him! Find him? Fancy Pants questioned in a terrified tone. Fancy Pants is right, I nodded. We need to worry about saving ourselves. It's too late for him. She's got him. Who is she? The henchman roared, throwing his hands into the air. And, just as he did so, a sinewy hand reached through the fog and grabbed him by the throat. Right before our very eyes, we watched, as the witch-like hand pulled the fat boy out of sight. Another one gone, came my sorrowful voice. I couldn't believe it. They were being picked off one after another. What the heck is going on? Jackson took hold of my shoulders. Are you being serious? Is that really the witch mom? I couldn't even look him in the eye anymore. What had I done? She's real, I nodded. I tried to warn you all. I told you all she was real. And as I looked out among the remaining kids, I had a terrible thought, maybe more of a sick realization. The next words I spoke were those going through my head. I said them right as they occurred to me, not caring who heard or what they thought. And those words were these: I wasn't her only target. I was her guide. You all followed me here. I brought you here. How could I have been so stupid? What are you talking about? Vampy grabbed my arm. Now you're really scaring me. The witch mommy is coming. She wants your blood, That same sinister, evil-sounding voice called out from the fog. It sounded kind of like my mother, but in a sick, twisted sort of way. "Who the—" Fancy Pants couldn't even finish his sentence. We all knew what he meant, though. "Believe me now," I hissed. "How do we get out of here, bro?" Jackson tried snapping some sense back into me. "Come on, think! We've gotten out of worse spots, baby." "Have we?" I laughed, looking into his eyes. "Oh, you mean online gaming?" "Duh! Heck yes! We've faced worse than some stupid witch mommy thing, haven't we?" "You're right," I smiled. "Let's do this. Fancy Pants, come with me if you want to live." The tall goof wasn't wanting to move much, I'll tell you that. Maybe the fear had prevented him from doing so. At any rate, Jackson tugged on his arm with all the force he could muster, enough to put some motion into the works. "Hurry up! Now!" I pleaded. "We've got to run for it." "We're leaving!" Vampy announced. And just like that, the four of us took off running in the only direction I figured we might be safe. "It's too late!" The witch mommy cackled from somewhere beside us, still concealed in the fog. "Once the witch mommy arrives, it's already too late for you." Almost as fast as we were running, the fog swirled and shifted around us like it had a mind of its own, trying to catch us, trying to trap us, trying to do something very bad to us. With two of the trogs already being dispatched of, I didn't think it was a good idea to stick around and find out what happened inside the fog. I had about as much to do with the witch mommy as I wanted, and a lot more than that, actually. Even so, as we sprinted and dashed, just barely outrunning the stupid fog, I still felt her presence. The witch mommy. Feeling her almost right beside me, wondering if it was her face I saw in the mist, or simply that of a tree or a shrub. Oof! Ouch! More than once one of us ran into a tree or a pole or whatever. With fog this thick, we couldn't see much, but we knew anything ahead of us had to be better than that monster behind us. "Keep going," I yelled, motioning ahead. "Through that fence opening. Right there." Sure enough, a break in the fog gave us an exit strategy. "Where are we going?" Vampy asked between deep breaths of panic. "Anywhere other than here," Fancy Pants replied, picking up speed. "I'm with Noodle Arms." "Me too," Jackson agreed. "Oh, now you want me? Right there, through that hole in the chain-link fence," I hollered with a point. "The witch mommy wants your blood," came that evil, shrill voice. For some reason, I couldn't tell if it was closer or farther away from us in that moment of chaos. And I seriously doubted if any of us wanted to figure it out. "Go! Go! Go!" we shouted, cramming ourselves through the opening. Through it we went, even managing to snag our shirts on a jagged piece, just like in the movies. Now, I didn't bother looking behind me, but I think the witch mommy's hand almost took hold of me. And you'll never convince otherwise. "Keep going! Keep going!" came our cries of commotion. We ran and ran, getting to the street, and we didn't even consider stopping. I was in the lead, turning this way and that way, out of instinct. Once in a while, I took a peek behind me to make sure everyone was still coming. But I didn't really look for too long, just in case I might spot her and have a full-blown heart attack. The footsteps of the others hammered off all around me, our lungs puffing in air like a hard day at gym class. Not that we had too many of those, but if we did, I imagine they'd feel something similar to this. "Faster! Faster!" I yelped. "Let's go!" "Go where?" Vampy kept asking. You could hear the worry in her voice. But I also knew somehow I was responsible for all of them. I needed to lead them. It was my job to make this right. They didn't ask to be sucked into this witch. Mommy miss. It wouldn't be right if I just left them. No matter how scared or frightened I happened to be, I knew it was my job to look after my friends here, even Fancy Pants. Sure, 2 trogs hadn't made it. I'm not saying I have a perfect record, huh? Anyway, here we are. "Here?" Jackson gasped, looking at the building. "What is it?" Fancy Pants questioned in a hurried voice. "My house," I nodded. "I didn't know where else to go. Come on, let's get inside." When a piercing screech caught our ears from the side, any hesitation we felt on whether to go inside or not disappeared as the 4 of us all charged ahead, fighting to be the first through the door. "Me first!" Fancy Pants squealed, bumping ahead of me. Real tough, Jackson smirked with a laugh. Women and children first. Not in this century, I chuckled. Just get me in. Any order. Women's rights. Feminist, whatever, Vampy begged, squeezing past me and Jackson. It came as no surprise that Jackson let her pass. He was that guy. A hero. Always wanting to help others and put his strength to use. A very admirable trait, I have to say so. Slam! The door banged hard with a wall-rattling close. With that, we were inside my home. I guess that gave me some home turf advantages. The unfortunate part was, the same benefits applied to the witch mommy, since she lived here too, or I felt fairly certain of that fact. What is it? Vampy pushed her glasses up on her nose bridge. I've tried searching all over the internet, but the witch mommy doesn't even seem to exist? I'm not surprised, Jackson shrugged. I mean, who has ever heard of a witch mommy? Sometimes I call my mom something similar, Fancy Pants offered, but I usually use a B. Very healthy, Vampy raised an eyebrow, and even more useful. Wham! Something smacked hard against the nearby window. The force didn't actually break any of the glass, but whatever it was, the shockwave knocked all of us off our feet. We were launched into the air like dead bodies in a video game, flying high until falling back down to the floor. Oof! Not pleasant. What was that? Fancy Pants muttered, crawling over behind the nearest chair. We were in my living room area, right in the hallway of the front door. All of the thin shades were drawn, so a bit of sunlight could come in, though we weren't able to see out much at all. It was her. I'm sure of it, came my serious tone. I don't know why none of you never believed me. I mean, why would anyone make that up? We'll send you a sorry card later, Fancy Pants laughed. For now, can we try to focus on how to kill the stupid Witch, Vampy cut in. Right, witch, Fancy Pants shrugged. It's still his witch mom thing, she replied. Is it? I asked to no one in particular. Well, we can figure that out later, Jackson volunteered. Let's find a place to hide and prepare ourselves. Any good ideas? I brought a finger to my lips. Guys, Vampy raised a hand. Who turned out the sun? Yep. I should have known. Sure enough, when we looked back to the windows, we saw the dark fog had encircled the entirety of the house. It blocked out nearly every bit of light coming in from the outside. It's too late, the witch mommy's voice echoed through the house. When the witch mommy arrives, it's already too late. Where is she? Fancy Pants gasped, looking all around. He yanked a sturdy candlestick off the living room table, one of those big items, almost like a brass pipe or something. I will bash her to pieces myself. Uh-huh, Jackson nodded. I snapped my fingers. There's a basement here. It only has one door to get in and no windows or anything down below, I recalled. It sounds perfect, Vampy smiled. We can barricade ourselves in there and figure out what to do. Yes, exactly, Fancy Pants shouted. Which door is it? I swirled my finger around in the direction. It's the 3RD one on the left down the holler. Upon hearing this, Fancy Pants slowly rose to his feet. He crept very carefully toward me, moving in the direction of the hall. Right here? He asked with a gulp. Yes, right there, just on the other side of that picture frame in the hall, I said. Okay, good, came Fancy Pants' hopefully reply. Because... Then he took off in a bolt of speed, running wickedly fast down the hall. I can get there before all of you. Ha-ha! The guy shouted, throwing open the basement door and ducking inside. What the... Fancy Pants! Jackson called after him, racing to catch the door before it shut. But he was too late. And not only that, but Fancy Pants had apparently barricaded it or jammed the handle with something. Jackson gave a few hard twists with his hands on the knob and a good stern ram with his shoulder. It rattled a little but did not bust open, as I'd pictured happening. The candlestick, Vampy said aloud. He's jammed it. Listen, Fancy Pants yelled from the other side. No hard feelings. But I think if the witch mommy eats you three first, she should be pretty full. I'm sorry, guys, but I have a date with that cute girl from 3RD period tomorrow. Bro, Jackson shook his head. She doesn't even like you. Sounds like you're jealous. Hear that, witch mommy? He's a bad, jealous boy. Fancy Pants screamed in a somewhat muffled voice. Slam! A door or something crashed in the background. I wish I had more details to give you. But no, it's always just something. "Where was that from?" I yelled, peering over my shoulder. "She's inside," Vampy nodded. "She just broke in." Jackson held his breath, clenching his fists several times, perhaps seeing if they were ready to do some pummeling if need be, though I'm not sure how effective that is against a thing like the witch mommy. "It came from the kitchen?" I asked. "How would we know?" Fancy Pants shouted from the basement. "What's going on out there?" "Oh, shut up, you little coward." Jackson shook his head, punching the door. "Open up, you Loki little punk." "No way, bro," Fancy Pants yelled. "We need to stick together." Jackson tried to reason with him. "Oh yeah, like I want to be stuck with you freaks. Bunch of weirdos and stupid." "Woo!" His sentence cut short. "What was that?" he cried. "Is she down here? I thought you said there was no way in other than this door." Bam! Another sound came from upstairs somewhere. "No!" Vampy hollered. "She's upstairs now." "Woman!" We then heard a big commotion on the other side of the basement door. She's messing with us," Jackson concluded. "We need to go somewhere now." Vampy tugged at Jackson's arm. "I hear her down here." "What the heck, bro? You lied." "I'm coming out," Fancy Pants yelled, as we saw the doorknob begin jiggling about. "Oh, now you want to come out?" I chuckled. "Don't open the door. We don't want her coming out from the basement." "I'm serious," Fancy Pants repeated. "I'm going to come out. Something is down here." I gave Jackson a wink. "Please, no," he commented in a dry, lifeless tone. "Please do not come out." "Oh, no." We shared in a quick but silent laugh. Just then we saw the doorknob of the basement moving downward. Following this, it began to open. "No, dude." Fancy Pants' head shot through the opening. "I'm coming out. Now. I swear, she's down here. Lock it behind me." "Hurry up, then." Vampy shook her hands in the air, as if that might speed him along. A little more of his body came into view. He was holding his phone. With the light turned on the screen, it illuminated his face and a little in front. Man, he looked absolutely terrified. Now, that was funny to see. "Come on," I laughed. "Hurry up. Get out here." "I'm coming, you step—" Fancy Pants never got to finish his insult, and I'll tell you why. "Ah!" Vampy screamed, and for good reason, too. As Fancy Pants leaned forward to exit the basement, a long, bony hand took hold of his throat from behind, just beneath his chin. It latched onto his neck with incredible speed, and in the next second, he was pulled back into the basement, where the door shut and could not be opened again. Though in all truth, none of us tried to open it either. We were just certain it wouldn't have helped, maybe frozen stiff with fear and shock. "No!" Fancy Pants cried out from the basement, although his shout seemed to end prematurely, and in the next moment we heard nothing but silence. "Fancy!" Jackson said, leaning toward the door. "No," Vampy whispered in a harsh tone. "He's gone." I nodded. With that, we all fell absolutely quiet again, trying to listen for any sign of motion of invasion. Then it came. That same sound I'd heard in the night, a dull, harsh scraping, like a butcher knife on a wooden door, dragging along, growing louder and louder. That's, I paused, swallowing. "That's what I heard in the night." "Well," Jackson titled his head, "let's not wait to find out who she kills next. Run for it." With that, he took hold of me and Vampy by the wrists and pulled us to the nearby stairs. Up we ran, just as the basement door burst open inward. What timing she had. "Which one is yours?" Jackson shouted. "That one," I yelled back, pointing to the far door. "Get in!" Wham! Once more, another door slammed behind us. This one belonged to my bedroom, where we had now barricaded ourselves in. "All right, what's the plan?" Jackson asked, pressing his back against the door. "I'm not sure that's going to help much," Vampy thought aloud. "The witch mommy seems to possess some powers that we don't have any clue about." "And let me guess," I laughed. "She's going to start dragging her stupid knife along the wall and floors again, right?" Then, as if right on cue in a movie scene, we heard the familiar sound of the witch mommy's blade scraping outside the door. Or so, I thought it was. None of us spoke. None of us breathed. "Predictable!" I shouted at long last. Here it happened. Something totally unexpected, and all the more unnerving. "Jackson!" Fancy Pants whispered from outside the door. "Is that you, Fancy?" Jackson yelled, reaching for the doorknob. "No!" Vampy stopped him. "Don't!" "Hurry, Jackson! Let me in!" Fancy Pants whimpered. "Hurry! I just escaped from her. I ran up here. Now hurry and let me in." "No, don't do it." I shook my head in the negative. "Vampy is right." Something was weird about Fancy Pants' voice. It sounded like him, sure, but not entirely. I think we all sensed it. We all knew it. Whatever lingered outside that door was definitely not the jerk from school. "Vampy, come on!" Fancy Pants pleaded. "You're going to let her get me out here? Let me in!" Bang! The door got hit forcefully by something hard. I saw some dust fly off the trim. Bang! This one was even louder. The whole place seemed to rattle with each striking of the door. All at once, all three of us retreated in a slow, deliberate fashion, our eyes trained on the door, not looking away for even a second. "Jackson! Let me in! Let me in!" came Fancy Pants' desperate shouting, which had now grown into a strange, frantic crying. "Oh, God! She's coming! She's coming! Let me in!" It seemed in this instant that Jackson faltered. He took one step forward, as if he might lunge ahead to fling the door open and save Fancy Pants. But when Vampy took hold of his arm, he knew better. The common sense rushed back to him in a great wave of clarity. "She's here!" the voice screamed on the other side of the door. Following this outburst, a brief pause of eerie silence filled the room, a tense, dramatic hesitation. And then, "Let me in, little pigs!" a demonic voice bellowed, right as a knife stabbed through my bedroom door. "Let me in, little pigs!" The sharp point, which seemed to be covered in a kind of red substance, glistened in what light was available in my room. "God, that's not good," Vampy screeched. "Is anyone else getting cold?" She was right, of course. She always had to be. The thick fog seemed to be settling outside the windows, and with it came the chilling temperatures that were fighting to make their way into the house. So much for modern AC systems. In fact, the entire place had taken on that same thick, heavy sort of suffocating atmosphere. Hard to breathe, harder to think. Not good was right. "Let me in!" he demanded. "No, not good at all is—" Now it was my turn, not being able to finish a sentence. "Creak!" From off to the side of us, a blinding light shot in through the window, just as we heard the glass break into a million shards. These flew across the room in every direction imaginable, which made us duck and cover our faces and eyes. Following the glass came a rush of the icy fog. It swarmed in almost like the arm of a cloud, forming a hand around Vampy. That's when I saw the same shadowed figure as before. It rose up directly behind my terrified friend. "Vampy!" Jackson raised a hand to warn her. Too late. She stood there motionless, frozen stiff with fright. "The witch mommy is here," the villain's wicked, familiar, sinister voice whispered from within the fog. And then, as the fog began to drift away, "Holy foo!" Jackson muttered, a look of utter terror and horror on his lips. There she stood. "The witch mommy? Those eyes, ugh!" It held a strong resemblance to my own mother. Only her usual sweet and caring face had been replaced with this evil, pure evil thing. Her long gray hair flowed wildly. The mouth stretched into a sort of odd, permanent smile. The type you wouldn't want to see down a dark alley. Heck, not even a bright, sunny sidewalk in a nice area of town. Worse than that. In her arms, she held Vampy. Yes, the witch mommy clutched the girl around the throat, as the somewhat both pretty and hideous creature stood behind our good friend, using her as a kind of shield. Vampy's eyes drifted to the side of her head, trying to see exactly what was holding her, purely for scientific reasons, I'm sure. "It's all right, Vampy," Jackson tried to comfort her. "Let her go," I demanded, stepping ahead. "When the witch mommy comes." "It's already too late," the witch smiled, tightening her grip on Vampy. That's when the gurgles started. Vampy struggled to breathe, strained to free herself. But the strength of the witch mommy must have been immense, because Vampy didn't appear to be moving at all, despite the obvious exertion of her muscles. "Bro," Jackson commented without looking at me. "Yeah?" Remember that time we took out the mob boss inside Tattered Tavern? He asked. Ah, yeah. Criminal beatdown too, I grinned, stepping to the side. I do. Good, Jackson nodded, moving off to the other side. The witch mommy will suck your blood. The creature tilted her head toward Vampy. What is she? I laughed. A vampire or a freaking witch? I think she's probably just a Jackson yelled, grabbing the chair from my nearby desk and hurling it at the witch mommy. I know in the game his aim was quite good, but seeing him toss a rather heavy chair right toward Vampy, it wouldn't be a lie to say a bit of nervous tension filled the pit of my stomach. Vampy probably felt about the same, for she let loose a blood-curdling scream. For my part, I took hold of a heavy lamp and rushed the witch mommy from the opposite side. Dashing forward, I saw the witch mommy raise her elbow just slightly, and with it came a rush of fog that collided with the chair in midair. This sent pieces of wood scattering across the room. Still, it didn't stop Jackson and me from diving straight at Vampy and her would-be attacker. Get her! He yelled. On it! I shouted, trying to fight off every ounce of fear that was attempting to hold me back. We both lunged. Got her! Not quite, actually. Somehow both the witch mommy and Vampy had turned into a cloud of fog. What I thought was Vampy's leg turned out to be... Let go of me! Jackson yelled, shaking me loose from his leg. He appeared to have had better luck than me. For even though the witch had resorted to some form of magic, Jackson still managed to grasp hold of Vampy's wrist. There, a few feet away, the witch mommy emerged from the fog, still clutching onto Vampy herself. However, now Jackson pulled with all the muscle he could muster, yanking and tugging on Vampy, knowing good and well that this was her last chance at surviving. Help, Jackson! Help! She whined. Let go! I said, Jackson shouted down at me. I've got her! I can't let you go, I answered, not wanting to release his leg. You hold on to her, and I'll hold on to you. I don't think that's how we did it in the game, he grunted. Well, we didn't miss the first attack either, did we? I grimaced, trying to drag him back along the floor. Fair point, he groaned. Now, Vampy, hold on. We're going to get you. No, it's too late, the witch mommy hissed over Vampy's shoulder. For being such a slender woman, this monster sure packed a lot of power. Maybe it was all those morning workouts she was forever telling me about. Perhaps the protein shakes and meat, I'm not sure. But my God, this witch creature felt like the world's strongest man. You knew this would happen, she grinned, shaking her head. Now it's time to deliver. The witch mommy wants her blood. I'd like to keep most of it, Vampy chirped, sucking in a big breath of air. On it! I nodded, already beginning to stand up. An idea came to me. If I could just get to... If only... Yes, right there. What are you doing? Jax exclaimed, watching me dart forward. Doing my job, I shouted back, only to slip on a loose, dirty shirt of mine on the floor, fall and bumble. Oof! My body collided into Jackson's. The next thing I knew, we were both falling to the floor in a heap, our eyes trained on Vampy. No! Jackson raised a hand, scrambling to his feet. Help! Vampy squealed, but it was too late. The thick fog swirled around the witch mommy and her prey. We watched them disappear into nothing but a mist, followed by the dreadful shrieks of Vampy growing quieter and quieter as the witch mommy took her from us. Where's she going? Jackson barked. Dude, what was that? She's gone, I said, in a crumpled mess on the floor, and it's all my fault. My good friend and I sat on the floor, our backs against the side of my bed. We just watched the witch mommy steal away 4 people now. To say we felt powerless to stop her would be the understatement of a lifetime. I could tell Jackson's spirit had been broken, even if only a little. Neither of us spoke in this instant. We only listened and waited. What might the awful witch mommy do next? You don't know how awkward a silence can be until you've been responsible for the demise of a good friend. Yeah, it stings. It sucks. Any ideas, bro? Jackson inquired. We should have done something different. I knew that plan wasn't going to work. This isn't a video game. Bro, take it easy on yourself. You're not the one who bumbled it all up, I said, in an effort to comfort him. Well, it wasn't your grip that broke. What are these muscles even for? He tipped his head back, covering his face. No, it's all my fault. I shook my head with a long sigh. No, it's no. Jackson tried to reply, but the sound of that terrible scraping caught his ear. Coming from the hall again, no mistake about it. That same demoralizing, dragging noise. She's coming back, he said, getting to his feet. It's not good, I said. It's no good at all. Duh! He forced a laugh. That's why we've got to stop her. He didn't understand. No one understood. I hated this, every moment of it. No, I spoke in a clear tone, grabbing onto his arm. Listen. What, bro? I am! He hissed. Here. I thought back to all of the hours we played together over the years. The many fun nights of gaming and joking around. How much we'd shared about our lives. And it occurred to me, in this moment, we really didn't know each other very well at all. My grip tightened on his wrist. The sound of that dumb scraping made its way closer and closer to the opening of my bedroom. The witch mommy is here. Her shrill voice echoed out into the room. It's too late for you. Not like this. Not again. Not always like this. I can't stand this. Meanwhile, Jackson turned his body to the door, preparing to fight off whatever might come through. No, you shouldn't have come here, Jackson, I said in a sad tone. Dude, he replied, shaking his head, you brought us here. I know, I nodded, looking to the floor. You shouldn't have come. No, bro, he winced. Friends stick together. That's what we do. It's what we've always done. Forever the good guy, wasn't he? You don't get it, do you? I asked him. Get what? The scraping came to a sudden stop. Hear that? My friend cocked his ear sideways, peering intently at the door. A flash of violence descended from the ceiling. It was her, the witch mommy. She landed on top of Jackson, knocking him to the floor. Gah! Jackson struggled. Get her, bro! Get her! Strangely, I didn't move at all. I simply stared at my friend, watching the witch mommy pull out her large butcher knife. Her intentions looked pretty awful at this point. A feeling of acceptance and regret flowed through me. Ah! Jackson kicked and squirmed, being overpowered by the thing on top of him. You shouldn't have come here, Jackson. I looked away. Right here, his eyes turned toward me. The moment of realization took hold of him, as I saw those usually bright and cheerful eyes turn to a scared, fearful expression, a hopeless look. You? He managed to speak through a mouthful of grunts and spit. The witch mommy raised the knife above her head. And that was the last I saw of Jackson. All my life, I'd been taunted and plagued by the witch mommy, forever tortured and punished by the witch mommy. And dear reader, it had never occurred to me before. But now, I must reveal the truth to you, not out of kindness or concern for your safety, but only out of a sickness that runs within me, a dreaded illness that has always been with me, a curse I could not escape, no matter how much I fought it, no matter how often I wished it wasn't true. It was there, always a part of me. For how many years I couldn't say. When something is always present, is there ever really a time where it begins or ends? I must apologize. I truly must. I'm sorry for being too weak to break free from this agony, for not being able to stop the darkness. I wish I was stronger, for your sake. However, I am not. I guess we all have our destinies, and we don't usually get to choose them. And now, I pass this on to you, sweet little reader. For if you haven't figured it out by now, if she is the witch mommy, that means I am her son. Yes, it's true. That means I am the witch boy, and I'm not here to save you. I'm not here to help you. I'm here to get you. The witch mommy is coming. Be good. The end. Be sure to subscribe to the Ghostmas Past mailing list for news of upcoming releases, sneak peeks, exciting things, and whatever else is necessary to make someone sign up. Woo! Woo! And also, leave a review, please. Reviews are very helpful to authors, and also incredibly easy to write. So, go on, tell the world how great of a story this was. Take a peek at some other books by Ghostmas Past here as well. Looking for more funny scares? Check out The Werewolf Delivers. Welcome. To all those brave enough and clever enough, let's not kid ourselves, to find themselves on this lovely little page of terror. What you've found here is none other than the mythical tale, once thought to be lost for good, rediscovered and published yet again, so that it can, once more, strike fear in those of you courageous enough to open it up. The story begins with an unnamed man and his love of the full moon. What follows is the frightening adventure of a lifetime, family-friendly, horrifying, and humorous all at the same time. Perfect for spooky Halloween nights, campfire stories, or for any freaking day of the year. Horror fans will delight in this satisfying tale of all things unnatural and dreadful. Another great story to read? The Kid Farm! It is a place no child ever wishes to go. The few, terribly unfortunate ones, mind you, who have ever been sent there, most certainly, never return the same, if they return at all, with its dangerous creatures, wild overseers, and nightmarish encounters involving all that this dark, evil, and spooky world has to offer. My name is... well, actually, that is not too important for now. Just know that I am the only kid who ever successfully escaped the Kid Farm. And this is my story. If you don't enjoy hearing about scary things or terrifying glimpses of death and chaos, or even heart-pounding adventures, along with a beautiful girl appearing now and then you'd best stop reading. Seriously, right now. I'm not joking either. This is your one chance to turn back. For those of you brave enough to keep going, I only hope you're as strong as you like to think you are. I've met several who thought they were. The Kid Farm is the worst place on earth. And, if you've got enough courage to read on, I'll tell you exactly why. But first, let's go back a bit in time so you know just how this all got started. The Kid Farm is a fast-paced story with elements of dark comedy, outlandish circumstances, and loads of over-the-top fun.